I can confidently say I can show anybody, how to make $500,000 a year or more. Every single year. Now, you might not like what you have to do to earn it, but guess what? It's pretty easy to earn.
The SOSCAST, baby.
We got Brad Lea in the house today. CEO, entrepreneur, businessman, business coach, author, motivational speaker. He's joining us today, I think, in his studio in Las Vegas. Whenever Brad's ready, we'd bring on this stud. Let me know when he's ready to do this thing.
I'm ready.
Ready. Brad's ready.
There he is.
Brad, I don't know if you heard the intro that I edified you, but I can't tell you how many people are very excited for you being on the show today. So what is it that you've done that you've caused all this excitement from our entrepreneur audience to really look forward to you being on the show today?
That's a great question. I'd like to have that answer once you get it.
Well, I feel like at the end of our conversation, our interview, I feel like I'll have a better understanding of why so many people are excited to have you on the show. And I think that you know why people are so interested in you. Jorge, let's turn Brad up so I can hear what he has to say. So Brad, real quick, where are you right now, physically, work-wise? What are you focused on? Just so maybe introduce yourself to the audience that isn't as familiar with you as I am.
Well, thank you, Adam. Right now, I'm physically in Las Vegas, Nevada, in my office. I have about 28,000 square feet overlooking the city of Las Vegas. We create web-based training systems, usually for companies and/or subject matter experts. So that's where I'm at currently. Right now, again, I own Lightspeed VT as well as a bunch of other businesses. And I've accidentally kind of built a personal brand on social media, which, again, I mean, I'd love to find out why people were so excited to have me on the show. I would imagine because I like to say things that people only think, they won't actually say.
This is what are known as truth bombs, and that's why your show is called Dropping Bombs with Brad Lea. Am I wrong on that?
You are not wrong.
I'm not wrong. Listen, some people are rarely wrong. Some people are always wrong. I'm somewhere in the middle. But you know, today I had to apologize to a buddy because I was wrong. You know, sometimes you got to apologize, but I'm not wrong on this. So Brad, shout out to you. You brought up something very interesting before I get into my line of questioning today. You built a business, Lightspeed VT, before you built your personal brand. Is that right? Correct. Okay, so myself, I've been in traditional finance, hedge fund, investment world for 17 years. I had zero personal brand, dude. I was like my last friend on Facebook. I didn't know what Instagram was. Forget about TikTok and Snapchat, had no clue. But I built a real business. I had a real profession before I built my personal brand. Same thing with my CEO, friend, mentor, Patrick Bet-David, that's been on your show. He's been in the finance insurance game for 2 decades now. He built his business way before he built his personal brand in Valuetainment. What was the importance of really focusing on yourself, your career, your business before you started marketing your personal brand? How did that all work?
Well, I mean, first of all, I started the damn online learning space, you know, in 1999. So there was nobody doing it. There was no internet, or barely any internet. There was no social media. So there was no personal branding back then. I guess there could have been, but not really. And then social media finally showed up, and by that time I was already in the throes of building a company. You know, I was helping people like Grant Cardone and, you know, Tony Robbins and, you know, Zig Ziglar when he was alive, even still his family, but all the big name trainers build amazing platforms to help people learn and grow. So I didn't really have time to focus on building a brand. And then I also watched and helped, you know, several of them become known, almost celebritized with social media. And then I started to hang around and meet a lot of those, you know, info space, you know, name brands like Patrick, for example. But ultimately I realized that the personal brand, you know, is extremely valuable. So I just had a few followers because I, you know, got some attention from some of these guys and, you know, just decided, okay, I'll start posting content to what I believe, and then, you know, started growing from there. But now I realize the extreme value it has. So I guess it was kind of an evolution.
Gotcha, but I think it is important. So many people start a personal brand these days, build up eyeballs, but have no business or no strategy behind it. The ones that do capitalize on that. But I think that a foundation of business is incumbent before you start building a personal brand. People kind of have it different these days. You see TikTokers blowing up, billions of eyeballs. What do you do for work? I whip, I dance, I do challenges. Yeah, they do the nay-nay. There you go, Nat. But they don't necessarily have a business behind it. So anyway, that's more of a statement than a question. But I'm sure you've seen it all. Brad, my next question for you, and I feel like you're the perfect guy to really embody really what this question is. So I'm going to get personal with you for a second. Do I have your permission to get somewhat personal?
Oh, please do.
So my question is, I would never ask this to a lady, but for you, good-looking guy, are you 50 yet? How old are you?
54.
54.
Wow,
okay.
you're phenomenal.
Yeah, all right. You got Nat over here who's chasing
Phenomenal.
silver foxes like crazy. Guys, if we can, I don't need to see myself every time. Let's just keep Brad on the screen the entire time if we can.
Keep us in the corner.
Shout out to our production crew, crushing the game these days.
Yeah.
Awesome. Keep Brad's good-looking face on there. So Brad's 54. I say this all the time, that if men can take care of themselves, focus on their career, focus on their money, focus on their health, focus on their wealth, focus on a purpose, eat right, act right, get right, they can end up looking like Brad Lea, 54, multimillionaire, right? Like, this is fine wine as a man. Okay, I'm 42 years old. If you tell me that in a baker's dozen years, I'm as good looking and successful as Brad Lea, check, fuck it, I'll take it. Done. All right, so message to you guys out there. So you're 54, you're married?
Yes.
Married, you have kids?
Yes.
I saw
7.
I saw a number out there. I didn't want to put the
7.
number. 7 kids.
Nice.
All right, I got some
7
catching up.
kids.
I got some catching up to do, brother. Wow.
How many girls? How many boys?
Chief.
What's that?
I have 2 boys, 5 girls. I said, you better
Wow.
get busy, Chief.
Wow.
Yeah. Holy shit.
A girl's
All right.
dad. That's a job.
He's a girl dad, and he's
Yeah.
also said, fuck it, I'm also a boy dad. I got 2 of those too.
But a girl dad
Wow.
is, that's kind of a lot.
So
too.
here's my question to the fine wine that is Brad Lea. The question encompasses playing the long game, right? Especially as a man, why it's important to play the long game, all right? When I was 16, I had pimples on my face. I was a freshman, 15 years old on my football team, getting no love, sports, women. By the time I'm 18, I'm the homecoming king. I'm the MVP of the team. I learned in high school, holy shit, there's a big difference between being 15 and 18 playing the long game. I was broke as shit in my 20s, okay? But what I realized is I needed to develop a skill that turned out to be sales, networking, relationships, and then I became a millionaire by 35. And when I basically made some money, had some free time, I developed my personal brand. Everyone has an aha moment when they kind of need to change their life and motivate them to do something with their life. So for me, I remember being 25, 26 years old, and like my weirdest friend made 70 grand on a real estate deal. I'm like, oh, this year? He goes, no, on this one deal. I'm like, holy shit, this guy just made 70 grand. This is insane. PBD tells a story about when his dad had a heart attack that motivated him to basically change his life and get it together. So my question for you, Brad, is like, what was your aha moment? I assume you didn't come from money. I assume that you had to hustle and grind to even get to the position that you're in. So what was the aha moment that you went from 0 to hero? And what was your trajectory from 20 to 30 to 40 and beyond?
It's a great question. You caused me to reflect. I'd have to look back. I tend to live in the now, or possibly lean into the future. The past I just use for kind of learning, and then I leave it there. You know what I mean? But if I look back, I would say that the pivotal moment in my life, I think, was when I went from worrying about myself to worrying about helping other people, legitimately. Without even thinking about it. There was a kid that worked in the back of my dealership. I was running a car dealership, and I was probably making $400,000 or $500,000 a year, maybe $600,000. So I thought I was cool and everything. But I was always out to get myself wealthy, and I just want to be rich. And it was always about me. Every time I did something, it was always for me and about me. And so I helped this guy make some money, go from minimum wage to about 15 or 20 grand by teaching him sales and closing. And I watched how it impacted his life. And I thought to myself, man, that's powerful. I want to go do this and help more people make more money. So I quit my job and went and started a company to help people make more money, which was training them sales. And then I discovered in that process that training is not just, watching a video or listening to someone speak. Training has 4 key ingredients. And that's when I realized that. But that's when success started chasing me. And then when I look back, I go, what was the pivotal moment? And it was right then. And it was because I went from caring about me to caring about others. Isn't that weird? Because that's what they say, the best way to get what you want is to help others get what they want, which is totally true. So the more people you can help, believe it or not, the more successful you're going to be. But that was probably the pivotal moment. The aha moment was in retrospect. I didn't have it during the time. I didn't know it was happening during, you know what I mean? I had to look back and realize that is what happened.
It's so interesting because for me, I said my aha moment when I was broke as hell, basically crashing on friends' couches. I was a nightlife guy. I was doing stand-up comedy. I was doing substitute teaching. I was just kind of what was that?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
You were happy though, weren't you?
I was happy, but I was broke. Yes.
So, dude, it doesn't matter. I mean, you can be broke and happy at the same time.
Yeah, until some shit happens where you need to pay some bills and then you're not that happy.
You still should be happy. You woke up this morning. I mean, at the end of the day, if I handed you guys $10 million cash, you guys would have a field day. You'd be so excited for weeks on end. But waking up, you wouldn't trade that for 10 million. So you realize waking up is worth more than 10 million. So every day I wake up, dude, I literally get as excited as someone handed me $10 million and realize it was more valuable than being handed $10 million. And then I go throughout the day accordingly. Like, I think every day is a great day as long as I wake up. It's just how good is it going to get is the question. It's already good, and so it's going to be a good day no matter what.
But did you always have that mindset even before you made money, or did this mindset occur once you started having success?
No, it started to occur, and then I started having success. You know what I'm saying? I think if the question is, if someone came to me and said, Brad, what would you say I need to focus on if I want to be successful? Because again, I dropped out of high school at 16. I'm not supposed to be a successful guy. So I would say mindset, skill set, and habits. Those 3 things, if you have the right mindset and the right skill sets and the right habits, nothing can stop you. But if you are being stopped or you're not where you want to be, just go focus on one of those 3 things, or all of them, because I guarantee you your problem is within those.
Mm-hmm. I think I fully agree that, and I've seen you had this conversation. I've seen a bunch of your clips where you asked a kid that exact question: is that, would you be happy with $10 million? Of course, but would you be like, if you had $10 million, basically, if you had that in your grave, would you be happy, or would you be happy just being young and broke at 20? And there was like an epiphany that the guy basically realized. So I fully appreciate that. At the same time, you can be happy when you have no money, but I think you can agree when you have money, it adds an extra flavor of happiness to life, no doubt. But what I wanted to ask you was the transition that you made when you said, yeah, I wanted to help other people. You didn't do that when you were broke. You did that when you said you were making $500,000 a year in the...
That was broke.
That was broke?
Yeah, I mean, dude, if you make $500,000 and spend $600,000, you're broke.
Yeah. Well, if you make 50 grand and spend 60 grand, you're broke. If you make $1 million and spend 2 million, you're broke. But you don't have to be broke if you make $500,000, Brad, right?
Well, that ain't the question if I had to be or not. I just was.
So you had a spending problem, brother.
Yeah, I mean, I figured if I can't save it, I'll just try to make more of it so I couldn't spend it all. And that's the only way I could save, because people were always teaching me to save. And now we realize you can't get rich by saving. Nobody's gotten rich by saving.
True, but the only way to start investing is saving, though. I fully agree. Like, for instance,
it's not the only way. It's not the only way. You can make an abundance. In other words, if you can't save money because you spend it all, make more than you can spend.
So at that time,
and literally, that is what I did. I still don't save money. Like, I'm terrible at saving money. Why? Well, in my mind, I have an abundant mindset. I'm not worried about money. More will come. Now, some people will say, oh, that's a bad way to think about it. Listen, it's worked my whole life. More continues to show up, and I grow through COVID. I grew through the 2008 deal. I grew every time there's a financial issue. Oh, big dog daddy B grows. Now, why? Because I believe it's an abundant mindset. I am not worried about where the next dollar comes from, because dollars can be created very easily. All you have to do is solve problems and provide value. And I'm a problem solving value machine.
So what I love about interviewing guys like you is you're different than most people. And that I assume why you attribute a lot of your success to is because you're not like most people. One of the things I often say is most people are most people. Now, with that being said, most people are gonna hear that and be like, this guy, Brad Lea, is out of his fucking mind. Yeah. He doesn't believe in saving money. He's got an abundance mindset. He believes he can make more. Hey, brother, I make 50 grand a year, 100 grand a year, and I'm struggling to get by. Here's Brad Lea making $500,000 a year, and he thinks he's broke. So, to the people out there that maybe agree with you, because there's gonna be probably a segment of the audience that are like, hell yeah, Brad, abundant mindset, I'm with you, gratitude, all that. I'm making $500,000 a year, and I want to get to the other level. I think we can appreciate that to make $500,000 a year, you're literally in the 1%. So that means that there's 99% of people who are not making that. So what would you say to the essentially 99% who are like, Brad, I love you, brother, but hey, $500,000 a year ain't broke. I'll take that. What would you say to those people of what they can do to their mindset to get on your level?
Well, number one, I'd say, well, what are you waiting on? You know, you'll take that. Well, why don't you have it yet? Because the only reason you don't have it is you don't know how to get it, or you just don't care. Because at the end of the day, dude, $500,000 a year, everyone should be making that or more. Now, if someone said, Brad, that's crazy for you to say. I can confidently say I can show anybody how to make $500,000 a year or more. Every single year. Now, you might not like what you have to do to earn it, but guess what? It's pretty easy to earn. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, again, number one, you're gonna have to sell something. We know this, right? Yep. So are you good at sales? It's all gonna boil back down. Here's what I tell them. It boils back down to your mindset, your skill set, and your habits. If they're not making $500,000 a year, it's because their mindset, their skill set, or their habits have issues. That's all I'm telling you. Like my habits, they might be, you know, I might smoke a cigar, bad habit. Yeah, well, I got other habits that make me a lot of money. Why? Because I have a lot of money. Not a lot of money compared to Patrick Bet-David, from what I hear, by the way. Old PBD's freaking hitting home runs. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I still got a little dough. So that's the evidence. So like people that say, you know, Brad, for example, you know, what should I focus on in life? You know, and I don't know why they're asking me, probably because, you know, my perceived success. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, the number one thing should be health. Because at the end of the day, if you aren't healthy and you don't have your health, you'll give up all your money to get it back. So the next one would be relationships, because if you were going to die tomorrow, you literally start thinking about relationships and people. You don't even think about money and cars and houses or any of that. So the first one's health, the second one's relationships, and then the third one might be money, because money comes from relationships. Like if somebody wants more money, they just need more relationships. Because if you knew the right people, you'd have everything you want. And if you don't have everything you want, it's because you don't know the right people. The more hands you shake, the more money you make.
Fully agree with that.
Again, yeah, success is not difficult. So what I would say to that person that says, you know, I'd love to take $500,000. Okay, well then get on it. What are you waiting on?
So I know that you're not gonna give all the answers, because, you know, at the end of the... All right, so walk me through what this mindset, skill set, habit should look like. Let's say you're a 25-year-old guy out there, 30-year-old guy out there. You're like, I hear you, Brad. I'm a fan. I'm making 50 grand a year right now, 100 grand a year. I'm working on my mindset. I'm working on my skill set. I'm improving my habits. But go deeper. What should they actually do in each of those three categories, in your opinion?
Well, again, you just said it. Just make sure you're constantly developing. As long as you're moving forward, you're heading in the right direction. But there's people out there looking for success. They don't even know what it looks like. They can't visualize it. If they can't visualize it, how are they supposed to find it? And by the way, you don't necessarily, chase success. Everybody talks about chasing their dreams. I don't really want to chase them because you'll get tired eventually. Why don't you just build them? Why don't you create them? You know what I'm saying? Why do you have to chase them? Since we're little, we're told all of these things that we tend to believe, and ultimately throughout life, through our negative talk and other people's negative talk and all of our experiences, we chip away at our self-esteem and subconsciously, which is below awareness, we tend to believe that we're not worth any more than we have. Because if you thought you were worth more, believe it or not, you'd actually have more. The only reason you don't have everything you want is because you don't think you deserve everything you want. And if you do, it's coming. It might take a little time, might take a little work. Why? Because it works. I mean, at the end of the day, work takes time sometimes. I can teach people exactly how to get everything they want in life. And when I'm done, they always say, yeah, but, here, I'll tell you. First thing you got to do if you want anything you want in life, and this goes for relationships, money, whatever you want. First thing you have to do is figure out what it is. Would that make sense?
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's step one, figure out what it is. Now, a lot of people think, well, that's easy. And then step two is figure out how to get it. Now, that's where everybody thinks that's the difficult part. That's the difficult part. That's what I need help with. I don't understand the how to get it part. Well, that's the easy one. Okay, the hard one is figuring out what it is, because a lot of times it's hard to figure that out. How to get it is simply finding someone who's already got it, who's already done it. And you ask them what they did, or you study and see what they did, and then you do the work. That's step three. Do the work they did. Do what they did. And 9 times out of 10, you'll get what they got. Why? Because like action causes like result. That's a universal law. So at the end of the day, like action causes like result. Now, you can sprinkle talent and all these different exceptions in there if somebody wants to argue that. But at the end of the day, generally what I'm saying is 100% correct. So all you have to do to get what you want in life is figure out what it is, find someone who's already done it, do what they did, and you'll probably get what they got. That's how you get everything you want in life. You want better relationships? Stop tolerating shitty ones.
You hear that?
Heard it.
Well,
It's common sense though, right?
you kind of teed up my next question perfectly because it's under the topic of chasing success. So whether you want to call it chasing success, pursuing success, building success, as you said, there's a famous quote out there in the manosphere, and they say chase success, not women. So for this question, we're going to call it build success, not women, right?
Don't build them.
So you have an awesome quote.
No, I would say build success and appreciate women.
Okay.
Right there with you.
And by the way, when you appreciate women, your women appreciate. Do you want things to appreciate or depreciate?
Oh, I'm all about appreciating assets, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and by the way, ladies, same thing. Appreciate your man, and your man appreciates.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Nat.
Yeah.
I appreciate you.
I wanted to hear that all day.
Okay, I appreciate you, Nat. Hey, Brad.
Yes?
Appreciate you too, bro.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
So, building success, appreciating women, not chasing women, not, chasing success, all that fun stuff. One of my favorite quotes that I heard from you, Brad, was this. You gave it was a TikTok. You said, focus, where you should focus your attention to you young kings out there. And I'll just sort of paraphrase. You said, if you're sitting out there chasing women and having fun, you're going to wake up one day and realize that none of it was worth anything. It's not going anywhere. You're going to wake up one day wishing you put your focus on something else. You don't need anybody. You need to get yourself right. You need to get yourself happy. Go fall in love with yourself before you worry about anybody else, right? You talk about building your success, not chasing women, appreciating women. How did you learn this mindset? Is this from your own personal experience, or were you watching others trying to basically be womanizers and falling behind in the success category? How'd you come up with this?
Well, again, a little of both. I think I've been in situations. First of all, like when people say people don't change, people do change. So I would say a little of both. Like I wouldn't say I'm a womanizer. I would just say that growing up, I used my skills for evil sometimes.
Brad, I feel you, and it takes one to know one. Continue, sir.
Yeah. So, I mean, ultimately, guys, listen, it's just experience. Eventually, people learn. Like, I wrote a book called The Hard Way. It's basically stuff people are going to learn with or without reading that book. The question is how much is it going to cost them to learn it?
Yeah.
I've already learned it. So these are just some of the things that you learn along the way. Like, you know, cheating on your significant other. It's better just to go home and have the fight before you cheat so you can walk away with your integrity. Like say I was about to cheat, which tells me we've got some sort of problem here, right? Nobody does that. They just cheat. Why? Well, because that's the easy way to go. Well, I fancy myself as the only dude on planet Earth that won't cheat.
Do you really?
And I might not be. There might be other good guys out there, but I'm one of them. I don't care how hot you are. I'm not cheating. I would go home and ask for a divorce and then come back and hump you.
I love
After
that.
you get a divorce.
Shout out
of
to
course
you.
she loves that. Well, here's what I'll say to you. There's a whole narrative or conversation about, you know, how familiar are you with like the manosphere and red pill topics? Andrew Tate, Rollo, Michael Sartain, we talked about him.
Try me.
Okay, so you're familiar with this world. So there's
Dude,
this.
what do you think? I'm 100?
You're 54. You look like you're 34. Keep crushing it,
Hey,
dude.
I'm paying attention. Tate, he emailed me one time, this was right in the beginning of his rise. I get an email from Emory Andrew Tate, and he says, I like your show. I think we would break the internet. And I'm like, talk to Maria. I didn't know who he was. Like, who the hell's Andrew Tate? And then he said it again, and I'm like, you know, who is this guy? And so I Googled him, and that's when he was sitting in his apartment talking on the computer a lot. I don't know to who, but he still wasn't who he is today.
Yeah.
But he was getting bigger. So I'm like, hey, was that the guy that emailed me? And they said, yeah. And I said, I like that guy because I was listening to him talk to that guy on the computer, and I'm like, dude, he's got some good points. He's got some good points. So I started listening to him, and I'm like, yeah, dude, get him on my podcast. And then as soon as I said, come on my podcast, he said, yeah, I'll be over there on these dates. And then next thing you know, boom, shot to the moon.
Yep.
And then next thing you know, he gets put in the old Romanian jail, and here we are today.
Yeah.
So I know of Andrew Tate quite. I want him on my show. Tell Patrick to give his ass a call. I know Patrick is his buddy now because Patrick flew to Spain to film that, didn't he?
Yeah, with Adam.
Yeah, with me. Yeah, we both.
You
did
were in it. You were in it. I watched that, dude. That's like freaking badass. That was fun. See, I like Andrew Tate. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, you can't say that. Bullshit. Like, if you don't like Andrew Tate, dude, you have a problem a little bit. Now, again, if you're female, I think you have a misunderstanding. Why? Because there's some things I've heard him say that I'm like, dude, that's stupid. Just like Trump. But at the end of the day, you know, do I think he's capable of being a, you know, what they're saying, a sex trafficker? I don't think so. Now, that's just my opinion. I don't know.
No, I fully endorse your opinion, brother. Yeah, 100%. We're on the same page there. But my question, since we're going to use this like duality or polarity, is, you know, Tate became famous. A lot of the red pill people became famous for saying the exact opposite thing that you're saying regarding cheating on women, right? And you basically advertise yourself as the one dude in the planet that would not cheat on his woman. But my question to you, Brad, is, so there's this whole narrative of like, once you reach a certain status as a man, a high value man, however you want to characterize that, I think we can all agree, good looking, successful, network, status, multimillionaire, providing value, all that and then
Big
some.
old ding dong.
What's that?
I said, big old ding dong. We got it.
That's right. Flexing on them.
Yes.
But so there's this whole narrative. Even a guy we interviewed yesterday that's saying, even women, if you're dating women over 27, you have the reserve to, explore your options.
Yeah.
So what's your stance on cheating, exploring options? High value man should be able to capitalize on basically what they've
High value
created.
man wouldn't do it.
You what's that?
A high value man would not do it. So there is no such thing as a high value man that cheats. That would
Okay.
make him a low value man.
So then you would disagree with Tate and some of his things he says on this specific topic.
I've never heard Tate say it's okay to cheat.
Oh, Brad. He
if
said that
Andrew
once or
Tate-
twice or 100 times.
Yes.
Again,
yes.
I've never heard it, but if Andrew Tate was on here right now
Yeah.
and he said it's totally okay to cheat, I would say it's totally okay not to. Period. So there is nobody on earth that can convince me that cheating is okay. It's not okay.
Okay.
It's not okay.
And this is my speculation. You've learned that the hard way, I'm assuming. You've cheated, but you've had an unhappy ending to a relationship. How'd you come up with that?
It's ethics and integrity, bro. It's nothing that you come up with. It's something that you learn. And I didn't necessarily learn it the hard way because, like, you know, my life's been good my whole life. Like, that's another thing we get told. Life is difficult. Life is hard. Life isn't difficult. Life is not hard. Life's pretty easy. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, do I think that life is easy?
Yeah.
I think life is not easy, bro.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that.
Maybe if you're
Dude,
Brad
I don't know
Lea-
what life you're living, but it's pretty damn easy for me. That's all I can say.
Well, I'll
Now,
say this. I think people overcomplicate life. I think people fall victim to jealousy, materialism, consumerism, keeping up with the Joneses, trying to basically look in the mirror and you're not happy because you don't have everything all your friends have. But kind of back to your beginning statement, if you can just wake up and you're not, you know, you're not stretching your arms, feeling a wooden box, gratitude, I feel like I fully appreciate that. Life can be complicated. But back to your
I didn't say it
point,
wasn't complicated. I said it wasn't hard. Life is not hard.
if you have a path that you're on, so
Listen, I'll argue about cheating because of ethics and integrity is my point. So Andrew Tate, he might be saying it's okay to cheat. It's okay to cheat because he believes so, and that's his prerogative to believe that. But I believe deep down he already knows the answer, and the answer is it's not okay to cheat. It's not okay to cheat. Just like, is it okay to cheat if his world champion belts? Is it okay to cheat to get the championship? Is it okay to get lead gloves and lead shoes? No, it's not okay to cheat in a sporting event. Well, then how's it okay to cheat in a marriage?
what happens if it's not in a marriage?
Well, then that's not cheating. Now, again, if it's in a relationship, to me, that's as good as a marriage. Why? Well, because again, if we commit to each other, which people do in a relationship, that we're not going to have any other relationships except this one. And that's a commitment, right? That's cheating. So you don't have to be married. You have to be committed. So if you and I, or not you and I, but if me and Nat decided to make a deal.
Yeah, Brad, not you and I, bro.
Yeah, if Nat and I decided to make a deal where like, hey, we're going to exclusively see each other. And she says cool and I say cool. Well, until I break that agreement, I'm not cheating. Why? Well, because we made an agreement.
Right.
So I think once you make an agreement, you should stick with it. I don't think people that cheat are these dirt balls. I just think they're breaking their agreements. And that's their choice. I don't think breaking your agreement is good. Now, if Andrew can convince me of that, then he'll be a slick talking son of a bitch, which I know he is.
He is,
but I
buddy.
don't think he can. I'd like to debate him. And again, on my show, I'd be talking about like shit that I think he did that's funny, and I'll be asking him questions. I'm not going to debate him about things like this. But if he were on here debating me, I would debate him. Why? Well, because you can't win that argument. You cannot convince people that it's okay to cheat. And if you think you can, you're not. You're talking to a bunch of young men that you influence so heavily to believe that cheating's okay, and that's just not okay. And if that's why he got canceled, I still don't think he should be canceled, but that starts to explain it. I've never heard him say that. The shit I hear him say, I tend to agree with. Like, you know, I tend to agree with a lot of things he says. I've never heard him say, you can cheat. Does he say that?
I think it's more so he promotes like exercising your options if you are considered a high value man. And
but Natalie, he's probably talking about a single high value man. Then I would agree with him. Like, if I'm a single high value man and I have no commitments, I'll be freaking, you know, going out there enjoying the oyster of the world, right? The world is my oyster. I would be enjoying just like he is, just like Tristan is. But if I made a commitment to a lady, I'm not breaking that commitment. And I'll bet you if you asked Andrew in that context, he would agree.
All right, well, I'm going to ask him straight up. Brad
Yeah.
Lea says you never cheat.
Let him watch this. He knows who I am. The other day, he basically said something in a video that I made up, so I know he got it from me.
Gotcha. If you could,
Come out.
if you could go back in time, I know you would tell Maria, get this guy on the damn phone, Maria.
Dude, if I could go back in time, it's like, come on, Andrew. Now I'm emailing him like, Andrew, buddy, sorry, I didn't know who you were, brother. Come on, dog.
All right, well, we'll see what we could do there. Let's get into, how long you been married now?
Including today,
Yes, hopefully.
10 years and a couple months.
10 years.
Wow,
4 months.
congratulations, a decade.
Thank you.
10 years,
nice.
7 kids.
No, 7 kids are from 4 women. 7 kids,
Okay.
4 women. Hey, it sounds trashy, but I can explain.
Please do,
I
sir.
like how you address that.
Go ahead.
Well, like in high school, you know, I decided to try this thing they called sex.
Oh, nice. I heard of that.
Old, 17 years old.
Right.
Boom, one time, one baby.
Wow.
Wow.
First time?
Yep, and had no choice in the matter because obviously, you know, the woman decides whether a baby's born or not. So it's like, hey, you know, I had a baby. What can I do about it? Now, I would ask you, did you ever have sex in high school?
I did, sir. Don't tell my mom, though.
See what I'm saying though? Like that's not trashy. That's not bad. Like everyone does. So one time, one baby. Then I thought, dang, I better not do this anymore. So I waited a couple years, 19 and a half, one time, one baby.
No way.
This guy's one-shot wonder over here.
Like it's like bam, another kid. So now I got 2 kids from 2 moms. Then I came to Las Vegas in 1991 and met my first wife and obviously got married. So we had 2 children, 2 boys. So now there's 4 kids, 3 moms. And then my wife decided that she really, really, really wanted to be in charge. And I told her, well, that can't happen. Like if I'm in charge, I can't necessarily let you be in charge. So I'm in charge. We disagreed. So we decided to get a divorce. And so then I met my next wife, who I never thought I'd get married again. But then I thought, you know, this one's so cool. We never argue. There's no issues. She's freaking sweetie. So I said, okay, screw it. Married her. And then we had 3. So there's 7 women, 7 kids from 4 women. But it's completely explainable.
Well, you're the only businessman CEO that basically, on the surface, looks like you do, but deep down inside, you're like Nick Cannon, rapper, and Busta Rhymes out here. But yeah.
You ain't lying.
Respect to you. Something you
Hey, they
mentioned.
called me that in high school. Cannon.
Cannon. Yeah.
Cannon,
See
oh,
how that
wow.
worked out? I went with the Cannon there. I was right.
Would you say having your first child so young definitely matured you faster than the rest, or was it just like it kind of prepped you for what was ahead?
No, because again, I didn't really, you know, I wasn't a very responsible individual. So I didn't really, you know, I didn't really become a dad. You know, I became a outlaw.
Oh, okay. When would you say you became a dad when you were having kids? Which kid?
I became a dad when I was married and had 2 sons.
Yeah.
And do you think it was different because you were married and did it?
Yeah, and they were there because again, these weren't my wives, they weren't my girlfriends, so I didn't live with them. You know, I was 17 years old for the first one, so there was no, and I was basically out on my own because I got kicked out at 16. So like I didn't really, you know, I was sleeping on friends' couches. It's not like I could have, you know, brought a wife and a baby home.
Right.
And I didn't do the right thing and marry him anyway, which again, technically isn't necessarily the right thing. It depends on everything. But ultimately, I just didn't, you know, face up to responsibility. So I was pretty much a jerk off till I was 30.
Jerk offs. Have
I'm
several
a late bloomer. I'm a late bloomer.
have several questions for you, Bradley. By the way, if you're liking the interview with Brad Lea so far, hit the like button. We appreciate that you
Yes.
guys are here. Subscribe here to the SOSCAST on Valuetainment.
Yes.
Subscribe to Brad Lee's podcast. It's called Dropping Bombs, right?
It is.
Okay.
Yes. And make sure, see if you guys give us some good questions. You know, we
we're
have
gonna,
a great guest today.
We're going to be managing the super chats. If you have questions for Brad or questions for us after the interview or even during the interview, we're going to be answering those as well.
Yes.
We're here with Brad Lea, a.k.a. the Cannon, a.k.a. the one-shot wonder,
Don't start that rumor. I'm just joking.
a.k.a. Cannon. One thing you said in your explanation of a boy becoming a man, having kids, you know, they say like any man could be a father, but it takes a real man to be a dad. It sounded like you became a real man, a real dad around age 30. But something that else that stuck out to me is you said your first marriage, you know, she said that she was in charge. You said that you were in charge. You know, you can only have one CEO of your company. You know that as the CEO of your company. What was that situation like when the wife thought she was the boss, but you're the boss, and that led to a divorce? Who's in charge in a relationship? How should it work?
Great question.
It's a good question. Now, in my opinion, it has to do with their own personal beliefs and their own personal upbringing. Now, to me, I'm a little traditional. I think the guy is supposed to be the one that's paying all the bills. A guy is supposed to like I know people that like the guy makes the wife pay half their mortgage, and I'm like, the girl's not supposed to pay. The girl's not supposed to pay for dinner. The girl's not supposed to pay for your house. You're supposed to pay, and then the girl's supposed to obviously, you know, just be happy, you know, be home. And by the way, whether they work or not is irrelevant. People always think I want women to be at home just because mine is. Mine wants to be there. I support her in that. I don't mind. Why? Because I think just because you don't work doesn't mean you don't work. I think a housewife with 3 kids is working harder than a girl that goes and does a job during the day. Because it's difficult, man. So anyway, bottom line is, what was the question?
Well, yeah, essentially you answered it. Basically, you know, they say that men lead, women follow, right? And it sounds like you're more traditional. You might have a lot of feminists that are basically to be picketing at your door right now.
Well, here, let me help them then, because to me, it's who makes the money. If my wife made what I made and I didn't have to do anything, and that was, you know, the source of our life's existence, well, then I would chill out at home and take care of the kids, and I have no problem. Although I'd be hiring a bunch of help, I wouldn't be doing it myself. So if she made millions of dollars, I would be so freaking excited and pumped and willing to sit at home. I don't really care. And by the way, I wouldn't sit at home, just for the record, because I like doing things. So I would not sit at home, even though I could, but I'd be happy if I could. I can't. I don't have the option. Now, she happens to want that. So again, that's just like kind of a traditional fitting. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I say I have a magic floor. Every time I throw my clothes on the floor, somehow magically they get ironed and pressed and back up where they go. So someone got all pissed and put a comment on my social media, and I said, listen, she's got a magic purse, so it's okay.
Yes.
Gotcha. So how does it work? Actually, I have that quote. I have a magic floor. Every time I throw my shirt on the floor, it's washed or back in the closet. I love that because your wife wants to do that. Your wife wants to be a housewife. Your wife wants to be a homemaker, right?
Yes.
But that comes with a certain level of responsibility for you, right? Where, you know, you gave the
100%.
example of the guy who's splitting the mortgage with his wife, and they're splitting 50-50, which is such a new concept, right? Traditionally, men made all the money, women didn't work, right? So there was no option for that. Now women are working as much as men. They're going to college as much as men. They're out earning many men. Do you think traditional days are kind of numbered because women are so empowered these days? The feminist movement, go out, get your money, get your bag. You don't need no man. Like, how old are your oldest kids? In their 30s even?
Yeah, 37 is the oldest one.
So what advice do you have for your daughters when it comes to men, relationship, and money?
Well, as long as they're happy, you know, I really don't care. Because again, it all boils down to being happy. So whatever makes them happy is really what matters. But as long as that's the truth, like as long as they're actually happy, then none of that matters.
Got it.
I actually have a question from the chat. It's not a super chat, but I appreciate the question. It's from Chris Casafranca. He said, when did you feel the happiest in your relationship? So out of all of them, when did you feel like you were the happiest? And what was that moment?
Out of all my relationships?
Yes.
Well, the one I'm in now,
Yeah, I was going to
obviously.
say, there's only one answer here, Brad.
But like, was there a specific moment where you realized, like, wow, this woman specifically is the woman that I want to spend my life with because of X, Y, and Z? She's very feminine, she's very gentle, she's very submissive. What was like the characteristic for you that was like, I want to give this marriage and children a shot again? Because, you know, you came from already having kids and a marriage. So to make that decision again, you've had experience, you've had choices. So what was that turning point for you in this relationship specifically?
Well, again, I didn't buy into that fairy tale, I want to spend the rest of my life with them. I don't think in terms of like that. Like I thought, worst case scenario, we'll get divorced. I didn't think I want to spend the rest of my life with this person. I thought, man, this girl's cool. I love her. She wants to get married too. Let me think. Okay, worst case, it doesn't last forever. And by the way, chances are it won't last forever. Chances are according to statistics, most marriages don't last forever. The majority end. The other ones end in death. So either way, marriage isn't necessarily the best idea in the world.
Yeah.
And do you think because she was more okay staying at home, that kind of fit your lifestyle with what you wanted to do with your job? Do you think that was a characteristic that was like, she would fit the life that I want and she allows me to lead the family? Would you say that was a characteristic for you that you wanted to pursue?
No.
No.
I, in my mind, I was done having kids. I'm not having any more kids, so I don't need anybody at home. It's not like I needed someone to, take care of my dogs or anything. So like I was literally a single bachelor, and I was going to live that way. I was going to go live like, Tate does. But I met her, and again, I'm not a big, in other words, I'm not out prowling. I think being promiscuous nowadays could cost you your health, which
Right.
again, it's not that big a deal. So, I was patient, but ultimately I was single, and I ran into this one, and she was like really cool, like just laid back, never argued, pretty, obviously, killer body. It was just, she was awesome. And I enjoyed spending time with her. And because she was a little bit younger than I was, she hadn't had kids, she hasn't been married. She wanted all that. Like to her, she's into that fairy tale, live the rest of my life with this man. She probably thought that. I wasn't thinking the rest of my life. I was thinking, okay, I'll do that. See the difference?
Yes.
Brad, you walked right into the story the questions I wanted to ask you, bro. So you're 54, crushing it, great looking guy. How old is your wife now?
She's 35.
That's my man.
There you go.
So there's a 19-year age gap. The story that you're kind of basically summing up about, hey man, be a bachelor, live your life, make your money, chicks come and go, and then you eventually, find some happiness in life. That's where I'm at, dude. I've made money, partied, lived in South Beach, nightlife, been all over the world, chicks galore. But the phase of my life where it's like, dude, I've partied enough for 10 lifetimes. Time for me to kind of evolve and take the next step in my life. You had a kid at, you said 17, 19. You've had multiple kids, multiple wives. For most men out there, at what age should they even think about really settling down, having a family, versus focusing on career, fun, money, chicks, that whole situation? Obviously, no one size doesn't fit all, but generally speaking, how should men operate in their time frame?
Well, I think people should give themselves enough time to sample enough things to determine whether or not they like it. So in other words, I wouldn't try, dating one girl and instantly marry her just because you're dying to get married. I would say go date, several. Now, at the same time, if you met one where you're just literally in love with her, you can't necessarily always choose who you love. Well, then I'd say go for it. It just depends on your feeling. There is no one answer to that.
Yeah, but you said you didn't feel like you became a man until you were 30, even though you had 2 kids already. So
I was I was a man. I just wasn't an ethical man.
Right. Well, obviously you were a man, biological man. We're not going Dylan Mulvaney here. Clearly you're a man. But you were. So there's a difference between being a boy, a young man, a grown-up man that's still a fuck boy, if you're familiar with that term, versus like, all right, now I'm a full-on man. Like I didn't become a man until I was probably my late 30s after, as you said, sampling a lot of things, test driving a lot of things, seeing what I liked and what I didn't like. So there is a growth phase that a man has to go through in order to get to that next level, in order to settle down. So do you think that number is 30 for a man? Obviously, no one size doesn't fit all, but I think that most guys are not men until they're at least 30. Would you agree?
Again, most men aren't men ever, but for what you're saying, yes, I would agree. Like what you're trying to get me to say is, how old do you think they should go before they settle down? You know,
Yeah.
30 be a good number, but 35 might even be a better number. You know, maybe even 40, because if at 40 you can still get, you know, a 25-year-old, you know, you're still in that pool where you might as well be 25. Why? Well, because when you were 25, who are you dating? You know, 25, 22, 23. Then you're 35. If you were dating, who are you dating? You know, 20, 22, 23, 24. Like the older men get, their dating still remains in the same pool, the same window for some reason.
I want everybody to listen what Brad just said right there. It's perfectly okay for a 35-year-old, but to be with a 23-year-old. Perfectly okay for a 40-year-old to be with a 26-year-old.
Yes.
Brad Lea said it had to be true.
100%. Listen, 100%. Let me tell you something. First of all, ladies, if you have a choice, and you do, don't choose a brokey.
Yes.
Like, don't choose a broke-ass dude. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means if he doesn't have enough gas in his car, so he's borrowing money from you, you picked the wrong one.
Yes.
Okay? You picked the wrong one. Don't choose broke dudes. See how, now again, people won't ever say that. And it's like, dude, that, if I were a girl and I were going to pick a guy, I would not pick a broke one.
Yep.
Does that make me a gold digger?
No.
I don't think there's anything wrong with being a
Not
gold
to
digger.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said the other day. Listen, gold digger to me means you're smart. Why? Well, because why would anybody pick a broke one? Like that's just stupid. So all of these things that you can look back at my age and realize that was stupid, that was stupid, that was stupid. You know, we all are going to make the same mistakes. There's going to be girls out there that date the wrong guy, get their heart broken because he's literally a piece of shit. And then there's going to be freaking guys out there that get their heart broken because the chick's a freaking hooer. I say hooer as a joke because my buddy always calls them hooers. But anyway, there's going to be trial and tribulation for all of us. The question is who's going to learn from it and how will you react? And that's what's going to make the difference between winners and losers. Everybody's going to take some freaking punches to the face. The question is how do you react? That's it. So in my 54 years, I've taken a lot of hits to the face. I've been homeless on the beach, you know, in California, trying to be famous. Man, I can tell you, I've lived. So by learning all of these things, it just makes you look in retrospect and get the lesson. Like, dude, it's not nice to cheat on somebody. It hurts people. Nothing ever good comes from it. I've learned that. Why? Yep. Well, because I've hurt people and nothing ever good came from it. Now, I might be wrong. Maybe there's a case where cheating is good, but I haven't found it. Now, and again, I'm not an angel. Have I ever, you know, if I were in a $10,000 basketball game, would I cheat to win? Hey, you know, I don't know. I might get to the line. You know, I might, you know, get in the gray area. But when it comes to like ethical integrity for life, you know, I think if people can just focus on that, then everything else is going to find its way. Like if you're just a real good ethical person with integrity, your life's going to be pretty good. Now, if you don't know how to do something or you don't know, you know, how to succeed, simply find someone who already did. Simply find someone who already knows and ask them. And then hopefully they will tell you, and then you do the work. And that's where most people stop because they don't actually want what they think they want. Because if you knew what you wanted, a little work wouldn't stop you at all.
Love that. Word to the wise out there. Ladies, stay away from brokies.
Yes.
And men, stay away from these whores that are out there running around in these streets. These whores. We got about 15 minutes left with Brad. If you have questions or comments for Brad, put that into the super chat.
Yes.
We appreciate your time, Brad. Last couple questions for you, bro. And I want to kind of get back to the money, work, working on yourself, playing the long game. There's this whole concept these days about a healthy work-life balance, right? Hey, I need to have a good balance in my life, my social, my lifestyle, my money, my work. You've kind of railed in on a work-life balance before. I've heard you say some quotes on this. Gen Z, there's this trending thing about bare minimum Mondays, and they don't want to work too hard on Mondays, and then it's like free for all Fridays, and it's next thing you know, there's a 4-day work week. Next thing you know, it's a 3-day work week. For a man in his 20s, 30s, really on his grind, what should an ideal, quote unquote, healthy work-life balance look like?
I would say every person that wants to acquire success should be up by 5 a.m. Why? Because there's a lot to do, and you need to get up early. That way you can take care of the main 4 in the morning. So if you wake up with that gratitude, it shifts your perspective. And with that perspective, now everything becomes an opportunity instead of a challenge or a problem. So just by shifting your perspective with gratitude, now everything's an opportunity. I have an opportunity to go to the gym. It's 5 a.m. I have an opportunity to get prepared for the day. I have an opportunity to get my affairs in order when everybody else is asleep. I wouldn't be waking up at 8 or 9 o'clock. Now, some people say, what if I work graveyard? We're not talking about the exception, folks. We're talking about the norm, okay? The norm is you should be getting your ass up early, which means technically if you're tired, you probably want to get to bed a little earlier. But I think you should be up at 5 a.m. and I think you should be, working on your existence, your family, or whatever your goals are, till about 7. And then I think from 7 to 11 is your family time. And then I think from 11 to 5 a.m. you're sleeping.
I gotta start waking up
Yeah,
earlier.
you gotta start
According to
waking up.
Bradley, I'm up at
I wake
6:30. Holy
I wake
shit!
up at 5, so I agree with that statement.
But as far as
Dude, actually, you live in Florida, dude. So you're up at 3 a.m.
Why?
for me.
Vegas
for
time,
you.
yeah,
I was
Vegas
like,
time. Well, truth be told,
5
I was
a.m.
just
somewhere.
I was out with our buddy Michael Sartain in Vegas, and in Vegas time we were out till 3 a.m. So
Okay.
I
There you
didn't
go.
wake up till
Yeah, but
6
dude,
a.m.
you're still partying, bro. It's okay to party sometimes. It's okay to enjoy life. Why do you think you're doing what you're doing? It's to where ultimately you get a chance to afford a nice life, and sometimes that includes celebration and having fun and cutting loose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fully embrace that. I think more my question was, a lot of the people think that it should be 50-50, work and life. 50, work your ass off, but also half your life enjoy. I believe in the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time I'm working, I'm reading, I'm improving, I'm strategizing, I'm working out even. And then 20% of the time, listen, call it what you will, weekend warrior, whatever, you kind of need to relish your wins and enjoy life a little bit. What are your thoughts on that as far as like of an overall breakdown?
I agree, other than sleep, if you're not including sleep, yeah, I would agree 80-20. I'm one of those ones that got away with it though. Like I've done all the things everyone says you can't do, and I still win. So when I hear the gurus out there preaching that you have to grind your face off a million hours, you got to skip birthdays and don't worry about your kid's soccer game, you got to build a business and yada, yada, yada. I think one day you're going to look back and regret that. So in my mind, a lot of these gurus don't have it right because, they're ultimately trying to say what people want to hear rather than the truth.
So what are your thoughts on when Gary Vee says those exact same things? Hustle your face off, no time to smell the roses, keep working, grind, hustle, 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 hustle. What are your thoughts on when he says things like that?
I don't hear him saying that. I hear him saying the opposite. I'm hearing Gary Vee say, if you want to, go ahead, but you don't need to. He's almost the opposite of that.
Is he?
I think.
All right. Maybe I haven't watched Gary Vee enough in the last few years. All right. Sorry, Gary.
I mean, look, you put Gary Vee and all these people and you line them all up, they're all going to kind of sound the same when it comes to the rules of success, because the rules of success are the same. You take Patrick Bet-David and all these people and you line them up, including me, and I'll bet you anything we're all saying the same shit when it comes to rules of success, because they're all the same. It's the same. It's the same for everybody. That's why I don't understand why there's not more people that are well off. And then they say this 1%. It's like 1%. That sounds like so little, but yet everyone in my neighborhood is rich, you know. And my neighborhood ain't the only neighborhood that's rich. So like, where's this 1%? It seems to be, you know, again, when you look at a town, is the majority of the town broke with just a little tiny street full of houses where the 1% live? No, there's nice neighborhoods all over the place. Where's the shitty neighborhoods? Are they all over the place? I haven't seen them all over the place. Why? Because I don't hang around those neighborhoods.
I was gonna say, I don't know where you're hanging out.
Well, again, do you? I've been to Florida, dude. There's a lot of rich neighborhoods in Florida.
Oh man, you're
Oh,
talking to a
yes.
dude who's been all over the nicest places all over Florida, but also some of the worst places all over Florida. They're out
Yes.
there.
They're out
Man of the streets.
No, oh no, they're out there, but it doesn't seem to be that proportion, does it? Like, it doesn't seem to be 99%, you know, filth, floor, and filth, and 1% nice. It seems like there's way more nice than they're letting on.
Well, no, obviously
know.
there's the middle class, there's the poor, there's the middle class, and then there's the rich, and then there's the super rich.
Again, that might be what they want us to believe. Okay, all I'm saying is I think there's a lot more success going on than people think.
Well, great. Shout out to capitalism. Shout out to the free enterprise system. Shout out to America.
Yep.
One last question for you, Brad, before we wrap up. You know, there's this whole debate over chasing money or pursuing money or building money versus following your passions, right? You've said the only way to do great work is to love what you do. You think that is absolute BS, right? Loving what you do is mandatory. So what's your motto, and where should people focus their efforts?
Well, again, I think first they need to figure out what it is they want, and then they should focus their efforts on that. So I don't like think everyone should be doing this or should be doing that. I think you need to figure out what it is that you want. Then I need you to go and understand that there's other people that have probably achieved it. So find them and figure out what they did, and then do what they did, and you'll get what they got. Now, if I'm wrong, I'll say, do it again. Pick another one, do it again. And I'll bet you I wouldn't be wrong twice. Because if I'm wrong, it's a fluke. You know what I'm saying? That is how you get anything you want in life. So figure out what it is. Figure out someone who's already done it and already been there. Get them to either coach you, mentor you, read their books. There's a million of them out there that know it. And then do the work. It's that simple.
You've also said money is not yours. It will never be. Money is temporarily yours, right? For me, the way I'm processing that is it's almost like asset allocation. Some money you're spending, some money you're saving, some money you should be investing. What's, I guess, your deal asset allocation, spending, saving strategy for young people out there?
Well, I mean, I would say pick up The Richest Man in Babylon and read that.
Yeah, I've read that. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, if you follow the basic rules of that book, you should do okay. I'm a little more aggressive. Again, I think a little bit more abundantly. I don't necessarily save a bunch of money, and if I were to save it, it would only be to spend it. Like I save it to use. And by the way, I don't really like to say spend, because you can invest or you can spend, and I would advise you don't spend any money at all. Like, you know, well, 20% for fun. Nope, 0 for fun. Okay, 100% invest your money and your time. 100% invest it. Like, if you can just shift your mindset to think, you know, what am I getting in return for this money? And if the answer's, you know, not more valuable than the money, then keep the money. So that to me is an investment. That might be a Ferrari. Some people might say, well, dude, that's not an investment. Well, number one, if you use it on social media and you know, put on a coaching program and the Ferrari got you 1,000 deals at $500, it paid for itself and made you money. So it's, again, all perspective. But what if it just made you feel good? What if it just made you, when you woke up in the morning, you're driving around town, picked up your confidence just a little bit? What if it made you just work a little bit harder because you knew that frickin' thing's not cheap? What if it made you a little bit better of a person because you finally got a car that you used to dream about? What's wrong with that as an investment? Yeah. Like, why do people want to look down on that? Yeah. There's something to be said about that. So again, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. You see some people, you want to make fun of them because they're flashing all their money and shit. you know? And then on the other hand, you want to look at these broke people and say, geez, what's their problem? It's like, dude, don't worry about the rich people. Don't worry about the broke people. Go look in the mirror and worry about yourself. Because truly, if everybody just did that, the whole world would improve. We're worried about this person, we're worried about that person, but we're not worried about ourselves. Everybody wants to change, but nobody wants to do any work. Everybody wants to change, but nobody wants to change. It's like, come on, this isn't rocket science. We can literally, if we have the right mindset, skill set, and habits, have anything we want in life.
See how he brings back his entire message at the end? You see that?
Yes, I love
That's
it.
what's called finishing with a bang. Brad Lea, I super appreciate you being on here.
Phenomenal.
I'm sure the audience really appreciated it as
They
well.
did.
Natalia over here,
Yes, I did.
who's all in search of silver foxes, is you're drooling a little bit.
I'm
Relax
not
a little
drooling.
bit.
He's a married man, a very loyal married man.
That's true. We learned that. Loyal.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think we also learned.
If I ever end up divorced, Nat, I'll let you know.
Thank you.
Well, we are selling her bathwater, buy one get one. So I don't think that's cheating, bro.
Stop it.
But Brad, I
That would be
appreciate you. If
cheating.
you
That
learned
would-
anything from
that would
Brad,
be cheating.
mindset, skill set, and habits. Ladies, stay away from those brokies. And fellas, stay away from them whores.
Whores.
Yeah. You
Good
say it
advice.
yourself,
Good
Brad.
advice, right? Thank you.
All right, bro. We'll see you on the next one.
Thank you so much.
Dude, you know what's funny is like I can just see the notes of what Brad Lea talked about. Stay away from the whores.
Hey, man, that might have been the
good.
best advice all day. I totally understand that.
Love it.
All right, Brad,
Appreciate
where
you,
can
brother.
everyone find you online? Just at Brad Lea on Instagram and then dropping bombs on YouTube?
No, at the real Brad Lea. And then on YouTube, believe it or not, I just send people to bradley.tv. But if you go to YouTube and Google Brad Lea, you'll find me.
All right, awesome.
Awesome.
Can we make sure to have that in the description below?
Yes, you got
Go
it.
subscribe to Brad's channel. He drops bombs like this every single day. Brad, we appreciate having you on, man.
Yes. Thank
My
you.
pleasure. Thanks.
All right,
Peace.
bro.
Bye.
So if you like that clip, click right here to watch another. Or if you want to watch the entire SOSCAST, click right here.